Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to teach you the three-step system that I help use to massively free up my time and to decrease stress and overwhelm in my business. So, most restaurant owners that I talk to when we first start working together, I say, okay, tell me what your time looks like. Tell me where you spend your time. And they tell me, oh, I do this and I do this and I do this. They tell me literally everything they do. And then I say, okay, so how much time do you spend on marketing, on your finances? How much time do you spend on your planning? And they say, oh, I don't have time for any of that. That's kind of where I go, hold on a second. So you're telling me you're busy, serving people, cooking in the kitchen, doing orders, running around, doing all these other things, but you don't have time for the most important things in your business, like marketing, like your finances, like all that stuff. And so I kind of asked them, I'm like, so what exactly are you so busy doing that you don't actually get to do the things that only you can do? So I asked them, like, well, who does your marketing then? They're like, well, we're just not doing it. Who's looking after your food and your labor costs? Well, I don't really know what those are right now. Well, how are you handling your planning for the next year? Like, how are you getting ahead of the curve for everything that's happening? They're like, well, I'm just taking it as it comes. So the reality is that most restaurant owners that I meet are so busy inside their business, they can't work on their business. And that's why we stay the same. So, the main takeaway that I want you to take away from what I'm going to say is that you should be focusing on only the things that you can do. That means if there's no one else that can do a certain task, that's the one that you need to ensure happens. But what most of us do instead is we focus on the busy work, the stuff that we think is urgent, and we often do the things that someone else could do. Maybe we could do it better, a little bit faster, and we do that instead of doing the stuff that we should do. So, this is my framework where I help to basically reduce overwhelm, reduce stress, and kind of work through my time. So, I'm using it most effectively. And it stands for optimize, automate, and outsource. Those are three things that you can do. So I'm going to just go briefly into each one. So the first one is optimize. So when we take a task, or a list of tasks, or all the things that we're doing, and sorry, my cat Flora is gonna join us here. Hi, Flora. How's it going? So what we want to do is we want to focus on optimizing what we're doing. So that means, is there a way that we can do it better, more effectively? Is there a way that we can do it faster? One client that I worked with, for example, spent 3 hours a day driving between locations, dropping off supplies because his managers didn't have good inventory control. They kept running out of things and there wasn't a good system there. So literally what we said is, okay, well, how can we get it so that you only have to go, instead of 3 times a day, how do we get it so you go 3 times a week? How do we get it so that maybe you only go once or twice a week? And that will literally save you 10, 15, 20 hours per week of your time. So by creating a better system, we can optimize that process. So each store then had inventory lists, their managers filled them out, gave him the orders in advance, and he went and picked the stuff up, once or twice a week. Massively reduced what he was able or what he had to do, and massively increased the time that he had to work on his business. So what we want to do is optimize. So I'm sure there's things right now that you are doing that take up time, or maybe you're paying bills, but you're paying bills as they come in. So really you have to log in, get the bill out, put it in your filing cabinet, do all that stuff. But you're doing this 10, 15 times a week maybe. Whereas what if you batched them all and did it all at once? What are the things if you're going out for supplies, for example, and it takes you 15 minutes to get to a store, 15 minutes to get back? What if you did a couple supply runs per week, or one supply run per week instead of one a day? All of a sudden that starts to save up your driving time. So what you're trying to look for in your schedule is, where is it that you find time that gets wasted, or is non-productive time? That's what we're looking for first and foremost. Now, the second piece of this is automation. Is there a way that you can get a software to do part of your work for you? So sometimes I use things like scheduling softwares. So everyone inputs their availability into the scheduling software so that when we go to do a schedule, it's already there. I don't have to go back through a book. I don't have to go and check people's availability manually. It's all just there in front of me. I can copy and paste the next schedule. It just works out really well. Another thing I do as well is, even with my calendar, for example, I have a software called Teamwork that basically tells me all the tasks I need to do every day. And then it just automatically reoccurs as I go through. So things that have to be done once a week, it just pops up in my calendar. Okay, I have to do this now. I have to do that. And it just reminds me. So I have to spend less time going, hey, what should I be doing right now? What's coming up? What do I need to know about? There's even ways to, for me, like I use my calendar in a whole bunch of different ways. I get people to book time with me differently. But is there anything you can do to automate what you're doing? Maybe automating your inventory. Or for example, if you're using an old, really old POS, I actually was talking to someone who's still using an old one where they punch in the price manually for every item. Okay, if we update your POS, all of your sales data, gets connected regularly. Maybe that connects in with QuickBooks, so you don't have to enter it manually. Things like that. So, how can you optimize what you're doing? How can you automate what you're doing? And the third piece of this is, how do you outsource what you're doing? So another thing you can do from an outsourcing perspective is, if you're doing a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be doing, like I hear lots of restaurant owners that are doing their own bookkeeping. I'm thinking, just by doing the books and data entry, you can pay someone else. You can pay a bookkeeper to do that. You can still review the numbers. You can still be a part of it. You can still know what they are. You can still pay the bills. But realistically, doing the data entry perspective, unless you really like that part of your business, realistically, there are other things that you can be doing that are building your business and growing your business, working with your team, being on site, being with your customers. There's things that are going to be better for your business than doing data entry, for example. So that's a very common one that I see. And so what are some other things that you're doing right now when you look at your schedule that someone else should be doing? And maybe there's things in your schedule that even some of your employees should be doing. So maybe you should be delegating, so outsourcing to people within inside your organization. Maybe you're serving all the customers all the time. Maybe other people should start taking a bit of that off of your shoulders. Maybe people should be handling some of your, Cisco or GFS or US Foods orders. Maybe they should be handling some of that. You could teach people to do that in a couple of weeks so that they can then handle it, which will free up your time. So what are the things that are taking up your time right now that you could outsource or delegate so that you can free up more time to focus on the important things like growing your business? So whenever you feel overwhelmed and stressed, like there's too much to do and you don't have enough time to do the important things, that's when you need to find a way to optimize, automate, or outsource the things that you're doing in your business so you can ultimately focus on the most important things moving forward. All right. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And I hope that you guys free up some time and you can build your business in the future.